once for all done, and there you are, somewhere, and finished in a certain time. Be it a day or a year, or even supposing it should eventually turn out to be a serial number of goodness gracious alone knows how many days or years. Anyhow, somehow and somewhere, before the book flood or after her ebb, somebody mentioned by name in his telephone directory, Coccolanius or Gallo-Taurus, wrote it. Horses, and to your roughshod mind, battle-lost bull, the affair is a thing once for all done, and there you are, somewhere, and finished in a certain time. Be it a day or a year, or even supposing it should eventually turn out to be a serial number of goodness gracious alone knows how many days or years. Anyhow, somehow and somewhere, before the book flood or after her ebb, somebody mentioned by name in his telephone directory, Coccolanius or Gallo-Taurus, wrote it all down, and there you are, full stop. Oh, undoubtedly, and very possibly so, but one who deeper thinks will always bear in the back pockets of his mind that this downright there you are and there it is only all in his eye. Why? Because, suffering, fatal if it goes at that. And dormer window gossip will cry it from the housetops no surelier than the writing on the wall will hew it to the mod of men that mote in the main street. Every person, place, and thing in the chaos mass of all, anyway connected with the gobbly dump turkey was moving and changing every part of the time. The travelling inkhorn, off of the pot, the hair and turtle pen and paper, the continually more and less inter-misunderstanding minds of the anti-collaborators, the as time went on as it will variously inflected, differently pronounced, otherwise spelled, changeably meaning vocable script signs. No, so heart me petrol. It is not a miseffectual symphonous riot of blots and blurs and bars and balls and hoops and wriggles and juxtaposed jottings linked by spurts of speed. It only looks as like it as damn it. And sure, we ought really to rest thankful that at this delightful hour of dung-flies dawning, we have even a written on with dryed ink scrap of paper at all to show for ourselves, tear it or leave it, and we are lofted to ourselves as the soul fisher when he led the cat out of the boat. After all that we lost and plundered of it, even to the hidmost coinings of the earth, and all it has gone through, and by all means, after a good ground kiss to terracotta, and for war's luck our left off flung over our home homoplate, clings with as with drowning hands, hoping against hope all the while that by the light of philosophy, and may she never forsake us, things will begin to clear up a bit one way or another within the next quarter of an hour, and be hanged to them as 10 to 1 they will to please the pigs, as they ought to, categorically as, strictly between ourselves. There is a limit to all things, so this will never do. For with that farm frow's foul flare, for that flatal fox beater, the calamites columitas calling for calamitous calamity, who that scrutinizing marvels at those indignant whip flashes, those so prudently bolted or blocked rounds, the touching reminiscence of an incompleted trail or dropped final, a round thousand whirligig glorioles prefaced by, alas now illegible airy plume flight, all tiberiously ambi-embellishing the initials majuscule of Erica. The meant to be battling Chrismont trilithon sign, E, narrator's note, capital E turned 90 degrees to the right, end of narrator's note, finally called after some hesitancy, Tech, which, moved contra-watchwise, represents his title in Sigma as the smaller, capital Delta, bluntly called following a certain change of state of grace of nature, Alpha or Delta, when single, stands for or tautologically stands beside the consort. Though for that matter, since we have heard from Cathay circles how the hen is not merely a tick or two after the first, fifth, fourth of the second, eighth, 12th, Chiang Chang Hong Kong Sanchener, but yearly the other, and 30th of the 9th from the 20th, our own vulgar 432 and 1132 irrespectively. Why not take the former for a village inn, the latter for an upside-down bridge, a multiplication marking for crossroads ahead, which you like pothook for the family gibbet, their old four-wheeler for the Buckers Field, a tea anyway for a tryst someday, and his one side missing for an all-blind alley leading to an Irish plot in the Shonda Moor, not? The steady monologi of the interior, the pardonable confusion for which some blame the cudgel and more blame the soot, but unthanks to which the peas with their chaps awry are quite as often as not taken for pews with their tails in there, or are quite as often as not taken for pews with their tails in their mouths. Thence your Christopher Columbos, hence our cat Presbyterian. The curt witty-watty dashes never quite just right at the prim trite truth letter. The sudden spluttered petulance of some capitalized middle, a word as cunningly hidden in its maze of confused drapery as a field mouse in a nest of coloured ribbon, that absurdly bull-footed bee declaring with an even plainer dumb show than does the mute commoner with us how hard a thing it is to be born a gentleman. And look at this pre-pronominal fun for all, engraved and retouched and edge-wiped and pudding-padded, very like a whale's egg farce with pemmican, as were its sentenced to be nuzzled over a full trillion times forever and a night, till his noddles sink or swim by that ideal reader suffering from an ideal insomnia. All those red-rabbled obolites, KN peppercast over the text, calling unnecessary attention to errors, omissions, repetitions, and misalignment. That probably local or personal variant maggers, for the more generally accepted majesty, which is but a trifle and yet may quietly amuse, those supercilious-looking crisscrossed Greek E's, awkward like perched there and here, out of date like sick owls, hawked back to Athens, and the GG's too, Jesuistically formed at first, but afterwards genuflected angrily towards the Occident. The Ostrogothic cacography, affected to certain phrases of Etruscan stable talk, and in short, the learning betrayed at almost every line's end. The head strength, at least 11 men of 32 paltry craft, revealed by a constant labour to make a gimel pass through the eye of an iota. This, for instance, utterly unexpected sinistrogyrate return to one peculiar sore point in the past. Those thrown open W's of an early Mediterranean origin, whether man chooses to damn them agglutinatively, lu tu blue face or il vous hole, or transkurt toppelfowls, seated with such flop-right-down determination and reminding us ineluctably of nature as a naturalist, while that fretful fidget F, the hornful digamma of your born a barbar, rarely heard now say when falling from the unfashionable lips of some heterosexual, used always in two bold-faced print types, one of them as wrong-headed as his Claudian ballot, is it worthwhile interrupting the text, throughout the papyrus as the revise mark, stalks all over the page, broods, capital F upside-down facing left, sensation seeking an idea, amid the verbiage, gaunt, stands dejectedly in the diapered window margin, with its basque of Baileys all aflutter about its hawk frogs, paces with a frown, jerking to and fro, flinging phrases here, there, or returns inhibited with some half-halted suggestion, capital F upside-down facing right, dragging its shoestring, the curious warning sign before our proto-parents ipsissima verba, very pure nondescript by the way, sometimes a palm-tailed otter, more often the arbutus fruit-flower leaf of the cane apple, which paleographers call a leak in the thatch, or the Aaron man ink her whisk through the hole of his hat, indicating that the words which follow may be taken in any order desired. Whole of Aaron man the hat through the whispering his foe, here, keen again and begin again to make sound sense and sense sound kin again. Those horsey-pitched, distorted H's, easily the rarest in as droll as most of the jaywalking I's we do plough into hard, unconnected, principial, medial or final, always Jims in the jam, sahib, as pitless as threadworms. The innocent exhibitionism of those frank yet capricious underlining, that strange exotic serpentine, since so properly banished from our scripture, about as frequent a wetter hand now as to see a right-headed lady white Donegal horse, which, in its invincible insolence ever longer more and of more morosity, seems to uncoil spirally and swell lacertine lazily before our eyes under pressure of the writer's hand. The ungainly musician listeners, so painted in sculpting self-sounder, aha, as black artful as a podatus, and dumbfounder, oh ho, uproarious, as 10 cannons in skelter fugue. The studious omission of year number and era name from the date, the one and only time when our copyist seems at least to have grasped the beauty of this trait, the lubricitous conjugation of the last with the first, the gypsy mating of a grand stylish grave digging with second best thumbs, and interpolation. These munchables occur only in the Botherroth family of manuscripts, BB-Cod 4, Tap 2, Breck 11, Lun 3, Din 17, Snuff 30, Fuller 1690. The scoliast has hungrily misheard a dead man's tola as a muffin bell. The foreshortened ampersands under which we can get at and feel for ourselves across all those rush years, the warm, soft, short pants of the quick scribbler, the vocative lapse from which it begins, and the accusative hole in which it ends itself, the aphasia, that heroic agony of recalling a once-loved number, leading slip by slipper to a general amnesia of misnomering one's own. Next, those R's, those R's all bellical, the high priest's hieroglyph of Kettletom and Oddsbones, blasted red-handedly from our hallowed rubric prayer for truce with booty, Oremus pro Romulo, and rudely from the famed pinnacle tossed down by Porter to within an aim's ace of their quatrain of ruby jets, among those who arse without the temple, nor since Rose distillery burn, have quaffed night's fire-filled cup. But jig-jog-jug as day the icebox froze, wang, loyal six I lead, out for your heart's blood blast ye, and there she's for you, sir, wang her, the fine woman, rouge to her lobster locks, the Rossi, wang, God, and O'Mara has it with his ruddy old villain Rufus, wait, wang, God, and you're another he hasn't, but there's my spoiled five of Spuds' trumps, wang, whack on his pig's king's kisser for him, K.M. O'Mara, where are you? Then, coming over to the left aisle corner down the cruciform postscript, from which 3 basia or shorter and smaller oscula have been over-carefully scraped away, plainly inspiring the tenebrous tunk page of the Book of Kells, and then it need not be lost sight of that there are exactly 3 squads of candidates for the Crucian Rose awaiting their turn in the marginal panels of column killer, chugged in their 3 ballot boxes, then set apart for such hanging committees, where 2 was enough for anyone, starting with old Matthew himself, as he with great distinction said then, just as since then, people speaking have fallen into the custom, when speaking to a person of saying 2 is company, when the third person is the person darkly spoken of, and then that last labiolingual basium might be read as a suavium, if whoever the embracer then was wrote with a tongue in his, or perhaps her cheek, as the case may have been then. And the fatal, droop-a-dwindle slope of the blamed scroll, the sure sign of imperfectible moral blindness, the too muchness, the far too manyness of all those 4-legged M's, and why spell, dear God, with a big, thick G? Why, oh why, the cut-and-dry axe and wise form of the semi-final, and 18-3 or 24th, but at least thank Morris lastly when all is dead and done, the Penelopean patience of its last para, a colophon of no fewer than 732 strokes, tailed by a leaping lasso, who thus at all this marvelling, but will press on hotly, to see the vaulting feminine libido of those interbranching orm sex opponin suite, sternly controlled and easily repersuaded by the uniform matter-of-fact of the meandering male fist. Duff Mugley, who now may be quoted by very kind arrangement, his dextroscophonious sort of incision under suprasonic-like control may be logged for by our none-too-distant futures as soon as stone values can be turned out from Chromophilimos Limited at a millisentime the microamp. First called this kind of Patagoeasy partnership, the Eurychian, or Tetrachiric, or Quadromain, or Ducks and Drakes, or Debts and Dishes perfect. Vide, some forestallings over that studium of sexophonologistic schizophrenesis, volume 24, pages 2 to 555, after the well-informed observation, made miles apart from the master, by tongue-toyed, compare later frustrations amongst the Neomagian teachings about the semi-unconscious past him, that in the case of the little-known Periflix bestseller, popularly associated with the names of the wretched mariner, Brian Foran deaf weed off our plum-sucked hat and shakekeeper, a Punic Admiralty report from Macpherson's Ocean, round by the tides of Jason's cruise, had been cleverly capsized and saucily republished as a dodecahedron Baedeker of the every tale a treat in itself variety, which could hope satisfactorily to tickle me gander as game as your goose. The unmistaken identity of the persons in the Tiberias duplex came to light in the most devious way. The original document was in what is known as anno or non-anno's unbrookable script, that is to say, it showed no signs of punctuation of any sort. Yet, on holding the verso against a lit rush, this new book of Morses responded most remarkably to the silent query of our world's oldest light, and its recto let out the piquant fact that it was but pierced but not punctured, in the university sense of the term, by numerous stabs and foliated gashes made by a pronged instrument. These paper wounds, 4 in type, were gradually and correctly understood to mean stop, please stop, do please stop, and oh do please stop, respectively, and following up their one true clue, the circumflexuous wall of a single-minded men's asylum, accentuated by bits of broken glass and china, yard inquiries pointed out that they had been provoked by the talk of a grave professor at his breakfast table, acutely professionally piqued to introduce a notion of time upon a plain surface by puncturing holes 6 in his face. Deeply religious by nature and position and warmly attached to thee and Smearbread and Better and him and new ladies, it was rightly suspected that such ire could not have been visited by him, Brotfresser Prendergast, even underwittingly upon the ancestral pneuma of one whom, with rumour, he venerated shamelessly at least once a week at Coxburgh Common, as his apple in his eye, and her first boy's best friend, and though plain English for a married lady, misled heaps by the way, yet when some peerer or peeress detected that the 4-leaf shamrock or quadrifoil jab was more recurrent, wherever the script was clear and the term terse, and that these two were the self-same spot, naturally selected for her perforations by Dame Pustet on her dung heap, thinkers all put grown in water and spilful pretty land only, and the playful foul and musical me and not you in any case, 2 and 2 together, and with a swarm of this is honey hunting after, a sigh for shime or the petty bonny rouge, separated modest mouths. So be it. And it was. The letter-making of the exploits of Bjorn Carlson when he was in the Clinners country, with Dalrose neck. With acknowledgement of our fervour of the first instance, he remains here most faithfully, for post-Trapp's sea spoil. Though not yet had the sailor sipped that stock, nor the Humport foams to the fill. And fox and geese still kept the peace around L'Auberge du Paradis. Small need after that, old Jerome, so them old hot-snuff, old Andy Cox, old Cassandrum, for quizzing your weekenders come to the RQ with, shoots off in a hiss, muddles off in a must-pass, and his holes the dismantled noon drunkard's done. Howbeit we heard not a son of sons to leave by him to oceanic society, and his old man without a thing in his ignorance, Tulko Macooley. And it was thus he was at every time, that son, and the other time the day was in it, and after the morrow dire mood is the name is on the writing chap of the salter, the juxta-junctor of a dear mate, and he passing out of one desire in Whitfellow. The daughters are after going and looging for him, Torbers, nice lookers of the fair neck, wanted for millinery servants to alter his person by the toppy Atkins. Poor Millie confounded with a mother. Maybe growing a moustache, did you say, with an adorable look of amusement, and uses no class